Good morning, everyone. How's it going? Amazing. Is this on? Let's see if we've got that working. Perfect. Amazing. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about the concept of your AI opportunity. So I'm going to start with setting the scene, and then we're going to dive into some more practical stuff. It's a new frontier for business. It's like fire, like electricity, like the manufacturing production line, like the personal computer, the cell phone, the internet, the smartphone, which meant you could do business with you on the go. The next one, artificial intelligence. So AI is already showing up to be able to increase productivity by about 40%. That's been done on a massive amount of studies, but 40% extra productivity a year. That's taking a 5-day week, jamming it into 3 days. So, what are we talking about today? It's not technical, it's not a 5-step program or anything like that. Good old typefaces. It's basically a direction to understand what you could do for your business, to imagine the possibilities, to think about what's next for you, to start thinking about, oh, I could do this. It's not prescriptive, it's very much a framework to bounce off. So this one we're going to start with is about seeing the big picture. We're going to move on to like a hands-on interactive thing where I'm going to share my phone on the screen and invite you guys to give it a go at the same time. And then the final one is talking about automation. So it's how we can bring the power of AI and get it to run in the background. So let's get started. Who here has used ChatGPT before? I was going to say Shiki, really? So everyone's used ChatGPT. For those that haven't, I think I saw a couple hands. It's the interface for OpenAI's, and here's a technical term for you, large language model. And it's basically allowing businesses to do so much. Who here has written a blog post with it? Who here has tried to create a recipe with it? Okay, cool, thank you. So there's a few different things like that it can do. But from what we've seen is people are treating it like Google. And so that's what today is all about. So you've been using AI for years without even knowing it. Who here uses Gmail or Outlook or any of those tools, right? So with those tools, you're probably familiar with like the auto suggestions that you get when you're typing an email. That's AI. When you use Google and you get the searches coming up, that's AI. So you've been using it for years, potentially without even knowing it. So AI can now be extended though. We can now use it to see things, and I use that word loosely, to hear things, to connect to different tools, to be the companion for you versus a built-in tool. So before we get into some more helpful information, what we're going to start with is how AI actually works. You can understand how it thinks, because I think what happens is when you understand how someone thinks or something works, the way you interact with it is totally different. When you have an employee that works in a certain way or has a certain personality type, when you adapt how your communication to them based on how their personality works, you get a lot better results. So with AI, it's quite simple. You've got in the middle, you've got your apps. So your ChatGPT, your Bards, a tool called HeyPi, which I'm loving at the moment, Anthropic's Claude. Those are all tools that we can interact with. In the middle, you've got the brain. So that's like OpenAI's GPT-4. Who's heard GPT before? Okay, so GPT is basically the generative process in the back end that gives us this AI we're familiar with today. And then on the back end, we've got your acai green super smoothies essentially for AI, the stuff that gives a bit more better brain performance, which is the vector databases or the custom training. So in simple terms, what that means is that you can, essentially take all your personal information, you can make it for you. So instead of it just being this kind of prescriptive default thing, you can make AI yours. So those are the 3 key pieces we've got here. God, I love PowerPoint. So what this was a beautiful picture of a brain here. So every brain is unique. Every brain is unique. If you look at the person next to you, the way they think is different to yourself. And you look to the other side, same deal. And then you look at yourself, the same deal. Every brain is unique. And it's because how you're raised, the inputs you've had in the world, whether you were born in New Zealand or Canada, the way you think about things may be different. Or the home you were brought up in. Did you have siblings? Did you have Or is it just you or a single parent? All those sort of things, right? That forms your identity today. And that is what AI really is. It's all the training on all that information to make it itself. So there's little variances between the models. So ChatGPT, that's one tool. We've got things like Pi, which I mentioned before, Google's Palm 2 and Bard. So these are different tools you've got, right? And so they're all different brains. And the reason for that is because they're trained differently. So AI is trained on this basically vast trillions of data points. So everything you go into Google and see, all the websites, the blog posts, the Reddit troll comments, the Instagram feeds, the YouTube videos, the secret blogs that you wish no one knew about, all that sort of stuff. It's trained on that, right? So we've got like trillions of data points there. But different algorithms do different things. They read them differently. And so when you're interacting with AI, it's not this all-knowing sentient being. It's purely just a combination of all the world's data. And a term I heard this morning on the drive down, which is exactly what it is. It's a predictive algorithm. It's kind of going, what makes the most sense to be next? It doesn't have a brain, but it has enough knowledge to go, this logically makes sense to be over here, when you're over here going, actually I want it to be that way. So it's making those connections. So that is what AI really is today. So the big thing we're all going to have in this room is, well, what's in it for me? There's this whole thing of this, it's a cool technology and it's an extra thing I've got to learn, but actually what's in it for me? So for AI, for leaders and entrepreneurs, the biggest one that I'm seeing businesses loving right now, in fact, an accountant who came to me 2 weeks ago said that she's already skyrocketed her capacity so she can focus on new business. It's about prioritizing your focus and escaping the treadmill of all those little tasks that you have to do as a new business owner or a small business owner. You know, the things that a corporate would have 100 people doing, and it's you and your laptop on the couch at night because, a small business, right? It can allow you to bypass the caps of growth. Another thing we're hearing right now is how these small businesses that have got, it literally might be 2 people, but they don't have a marketing person or they don't have a business advisor, all those sort of caps, they've now got a way to find out answers, to learn, to have something you bounce off, to do some of the more the menial tasks that they would actually hire someone for. So it's a really great tool for that, getting to that next level. Thank you. So that is that. The next one is go beyond what is possible with your current resources, reduce time to market for fresh innovation and services. Especially in the far north, we're hearing of these businesses that are going, I've got an idea and now I can actually do something about it because I'm too far away to get all the networks. And also enhance the experience your customers receive. For your team, it's proving to increase workplace happiness. People are happier when they're using AI because they can focus on what they actually love, if you think about builders, right, they've got to do their reports and this and that. So I'm not a builder, so I'm making that up. But what that does is it removes the stuff they hate they've got to do, and they can focus on more what they love. So it's all about focusing on your passion, letting your high performers fly without the limitations, and also increase task diversity. The biggest concern, I'm sure the media's all said, you've all heard this, is AI is going to take our job, and all the people in your teams are probably scared about this. The biggest realization you're going to have here is that AI is a companion, and I think I've got it here somewhere. But AI is a companion. It's part of your team. And so I think once we look at the wider landscape, we're going to realize that AI is not to be feared, it's to be embraced and to extend, to go to that next level. It's like, I shall get to that in a second. So yeah, we really want our teams to be part of it. Does anyone know what this is on the screen? I had to Google it, but I found out it's a typewriter, okay? And then the next one here is one of the early personal computers. This beautiful hello typeface there. But back in the 90s and even the 80s, typewriters were a big part of every business. It was behind the desk or it was in the back office somewhere where you were writing all your invoices and stuff like that apparently. But as soon as the computer came along, people were like, oh my gosh, I don't want to use it, it's too scary. I might lose my job because I can do it so much faster. I'm going to stick with a typewriter. And then as soon as you started to see, oh, but I can actually do more, and I'm actually not losing my job, I've just been able to do more and focus on what I love, the typewriter wasn't the best thing to go anymore. It was like, let's embrace it, let's learn. So we had this back and forth, typewriter, computer. That's exactly what we're in right now with AI. Current ways of doing things, AI ways of doing things. It's exactly that comparison. So you've got two options as a business. You can either use AI as an opportunity to scale. The second option you have is to kind of go, look, well, I've got this tool that can replace my team. That's one way of doing it. But if you think about what AI can do with your team, as a business, go far out. My margins can improve because I can get more output, right? So all those sort of things. If you look at it differently, it's kind of like, the computer. Well, oh my gosh, this computer's come around, let go, half my team go. That never happened. That never happened. And so in this same cycle back and forth. But what actually happened is, now think about your productivity and your output compared to the 90s, night and day. It's exactly the same comparison. And so the key thing we've got to learn is that throughout this process, we need to develop people's skills. AWS is saying that we're 100,000 New Zealanders short of digital technology skills. And so that's a big thing they're working on. AWS is Amazon's technical team. So that's what they're really focusing on right now. Now, burning papers over, bad news over, let's get into the fun productivity and learning stuff. Let's get practical. So AI isn't new, but it's far more accessible than it's ever been before. AI has been around since the 50s and 60s. It was used to predict chess matches. It's been used all these little ways, but the cost to do it required a massive computer, probably about the size of this room, millions of dollars. But now you can literally run, the paid version of ChatGPT, which is insane, for $20 a month. That's how much more accessible it's got. And so to capitalize on an unfair competitive advantage, we need to take action. Now, this graph here is some numbers which are, I don't necessarily believe them, okay? But this is an indication of what we've got. So, good love formatting between PowerPoint and other tools. Basically, what we've got here is the orange curve is generative AI users between 2017 and today. The yellow one is internet users between 1993 and 2001. That is the spike, what we're seeing. Now, generative AI is hard to measure, but these are based on some other indicators. Now, the fact that that's already more in a 4-year, a 6-year period versus a 9-year period for internet, we're already 20-30% higher. It's just showing how fast this is moving. Every day I get an email in the morning with all the latest AI news. Every day it's getting longer and longer and longer. It's moving so fast. So we really need to look at how we get the skills to move fast. So we've got here as a wave. Where many are way back out, kind of on the edge, going, oh, do I hop into it? Yeah, maybe it's looking interesting. Or do I just sit on the sidelines? Where we need to be is kind of in that the curve thingy of the wave surfing terms, where the big guys are already at the other end of it, right? So that is the sort of progress where we're at. And so what my hope today is that you guys get the tools and the ideas to hop into that wave, to keep going, build. Barrel? Okay, in the barrel. I learned something, guys. Mr. Fiji over here. He's looking really tanned, eh? It's great. So the next one we've got here, Borders and Amazon. Who's heard of Borders? Who used to shop at Borders? Who shops on Amazon now? Who shopped at Borders in the last 2 years? Exactly right. This is a prime example of businesses that resisted new technology. Borders for years said, we don't need to go online. Pish posh. It's overrated. Let's leave that to these young guys, the Amazons of the world. Look what happened. Amazon is now one of the biggest companies in the world. Some weeks the biggest company, during COVID especially. Borders barely exist. There's a couple stores here and there, but it's pretty much gone. That is the prime example of where we're at today. It's not a doom and gloom, but it's a, hey, look at the opportunity. In 20 years, if I don't adapt now, and while it's still early and get that competitive advantage, 20 years down the track, there's going to be an Amazon somewhere that comes and starts to compete. So the big thing here is to embrace the opportunity. It's not a scary thing. It may be a bit technical, but everything is technical. We thought that about how to use Google in the 1990s, right, or early 2000s. It was scary. It was technical. We got used to it. We tried it, and it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not delusional about that. I know it's hard to learn new technology, but it is something that we need to try. So the ultimate thing here with AI is, and I mentioned this before, is the word companion. Who thinks of Google as a companion? No. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to pretend that was a no. So for this example, like we think of Google as a tool that we use, right? It's something that we can go and find answers for and retain information. We need to see AI as someone who works hand in hand with us. This next slide. Cool. So basically what we've got here is the companion, and it's like a hand in hand, right? So if you think of sitting on a computer, okay, you're sitting on a computer and you're doing some work, or your team's doing work, you come over, walk up, what are you working on? Oh, I'm just doing this. And you come back over and go, oh, what about you do this? Pointing over. That's the relationship we need to have with AI. AI is the person doing the work. We need to be the pointer going, hey, have you considered this? Thinking about it like that. And just like your team member, you can allow AI to access your tools, which is our third session today. But the whole idea is that AI isn't this isolated thing that you've got to use. AI can be like the brain behind your entire business to an extent. So you can connect AI to, like, you get a new email and summarize it, put actions into HubSpot or whatever task management tool you use, or your database. Then you can get it to do send out some emails and then write the copy based on all the information you've got about the client. There's so many cool things you can do with it, which we'll get to later on. But the idea is that AI isn't a standalone thing, it's part of your team. So how are businesses already using it? We're working with a local tire company right now to do the most fun thing in the world, stock take. Who does stock take here? Does anyone? Couple? Yeah, it's probably not the right room for stock take, but what they've got is they've got an old process of where they literally print out all their SKUs for the different stores. They've got like 4 or 5 stores in Northland. They literally print out their entire stock and they go to the different branches. Can you do the stock take for these ones? Literally hand them a bit of paper. Then they count it manually, mark it up, going, oh, that's not quite right. And then they scan it, send it to the operations manager. Then he has to literally go through the hundreds of SKUs for the 4 or 5 different stores and go through line by line by line by line, which is about 60 to 100 hours a year, he estimates. So now what we've done, literally, they do it manually for now because they wanted to have that bit of autonomy still to do it the old way. They literally open WhatsApp, they take a photo of it. We use Google's cloud to literally read all the data. It says, hey, here's any variances, anything that you need to be aware of, uploads it to their stock take software, done. Literally, done. Versus like 60 to 100 hours a year, done. So that is the opportunity of AI. It's the seeing, it's the implementing into your existing tools. You know, it's not just about marketers or more professional service businesses. This is a prime example of how we can use it for other industries as well. Podcast automation. This one, we literally go through this process of mapping out the entire process. And now we've taken the audio file from our podcast and we transform it into a transcript, YouTube description, podcast show notes, some title options for them to choose from, a newsletter, press release, blog posts, social media announcement posts, thumbnails, streamline content creation, upload it to YouTube, to podcasts, all that, literally from the audio file. That's the other opportunity you've got. And then quickly for a Waikato-based construction company, we're taking all their sales work and we're helping them, their sales team, because they're growing so fast they can't keep on top of it and train new people. We're literally helping them to filter out all the leads, to nurture them till they're at a point where we are confident this person's going to convert. So how can you implement AI the right way? I'm going to fly through this a little bit because in exercise number 2, we're going to actually do this practically. So we're going to sit down and do this. But as we talked about, your team needs tangible incentive or a carrot. The biggest challenges business face with AI comes down to culture. And so what we need to do is we need to go here. It's a great opportunity, do it. But here's the, what we've got to, like the restraints we've got, right? So it's an AI policy. So it covers things like when and how it can be used, how your team should use it, how your information's handled, security, all those sort of things. Businesses today need to have one of these. It's basically the guardrails around your business. So I don't know if you're familiar with this concept in psychology, but as soon as you say, hey, this is where your, the clear border is, people go right to the edge of it. But as soon as you don't give them anything, they're going to stay way back here because they're too scared to go further. So that's what an AI policy does. It gives your team the comfort and the breathing room to actually try something. And so yeah, that's that one. And then the ultimate thing here is collaboration. AI needs to be collaborative. So everyone in this room, when we leave here today, the ultimate conversation will be with your team. Hey, how can we do this? How can we try this? Have you got any ideas? It needs to be part of a conversation with your wider team. So the final question I have for today is, how are you going to take action? Leave it there for now, and we'll pick up with part 2. Thank you.